How are you, Dan?
I'm very good, thank you, Maria.
It's been a few months, hasn't it, Don?
It's been a while.
Well, Don and I met a few months ago, and Don opened my mind up a little bit at the time to this new world for me of digital currency, Bitcoin that it's known as. And during that chat that we had, it was really interesting because I absolutely knew nothing. And it was great to be able to ask honest, stupid questions.
No such thing as a stupid
question.
But
I'm not embarrassed by stupid questions. If I don't ask stupid questions, I'll stay stupid. So that isn't a criticism of myself. I love asking stupid questions because the world's scared to ask them. So that was great, and you shared such a lot. But I'm going to be really honest with you. Forgotten most of it. I know you're much more passionate than I'm about it, and I want to pick that up again and go back a little bit. If you can summarise a little bit about Bitcoin, what it was doing and what's it done since, and where we're at now and what's about to happen. Can I throw it over to you? Yeah.
Okay.
Let's how it was.
Yeah.
Go on.
So if we step back to the beginning. Well, let me put it this way. So a lot of people have been talking about Bitcoin, and since we spoke last, a new term has come along called the blockchain.
Right.
So I'm going to try and explain Bitcoin in terms of the blockchain, and then we'll talk about what it is, because that'll make it easier a little bit later, if that makes sense.
Right.
So for a long time, people have wanted to use the internet to exchange value. So the internet's connected, we've all got email addresses, we've got files now in the cloud, and we're all wired up with our smartphones, and we're tweeting, and we're blogging, and we're WhatsApping, and we're all these things. We're all connected. So a gentleman what his name doesn't matter. So this guy wanted to figure out a way we could exchange value, money, over the internet without using banks. Now, people have wanted to do this for a long time. But three things came along that made it possible in 2008 when it started. One was peer-to-peer networks. Now, peer-to-peer networks is the ability of every computer, because of the internet connection, to connect to any other computer. So we know we've got this network of all these computers connected, including yours. When you log onto the internet, your laptop, your desktop is connected to the network. The big servers that IBM have and Virgin, they've got big computers, but still computers connected to the internet. And what we can do is your computer can connect directly to another one. Is that fairly simple?
Well, it is. I didn't know I wanted to connect with the world back then. I connected with my own circle of people that I saw around me, and I used the telephone to connect to people further away. Yeah, and how I see the internet today, it enables me now to connect further out to more volume. So I'm part of a bigger picture now, and it enables me to do an awful lot of things that I didn't know I wanted to do. But it's always been there, because everything that is created is there anyway. Yeah. So I get that.
So let me just for our viewers, let me anchor what you just said there, because it's a good point. Well, telephones don't exist anymore.
They don't exist. Explain, what does that mean?
So think about this. At one time, we had telephone cables, telephone wires.
Right.
And the only thing that went on telephone wires and telephone cables was voice.
Right.
Now, for those who are old enough to remember this sound, do you remember that sound?
I do.
Well, this is the sound of a modem. So before we had a wired network that carried voice.
Yeah.
And then along came this thing called digital. Yeah. And they tried to squeeze digital down these wires, and that worked for a bit, but it was pretty clumsy. In fact, that noise was the modems trying to figure out what speed to go on the wire. Yeah. But over time, the wire has been replaced by fiber optics.
Right.
Fiber cable.
Yes.
So everything, data and voice, goes down the cable.
So my telephone now at home is going down the fibre optic.
It's going down the fibre
along
optics.
Along with everything that I do on my computer.
Yeah, with all your emails and your videos.
Yeah, so everything we see, everything we write, everything we talk, all our senses are going down fibre optic. Right, that makes sense.
Yeah? Yeah. And remember what you said about being connected, if it's as easy, and you know this, do you ever use Skype?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So Skype is an internet telephone service.
Yes.
Which, for free, you can talk to anyone, anywhere in the world who has an internet connection.
Yes.
Voice, audio, visual, files,
Yes.
everything. So once you connect to the internet, you're effectively connected to everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you can then do is, if you wanted to send something, you could send it from your computer to the receiver computer, and it would find one way through. But if that way got damaged or blocked, you couldn't talk anymore. But actually, you can go by any route, any computer, all these millions of computers connected. You can connect to wherever you want, not just in one route, but by multiple routes. So peer-to-peer connection really came about with Kazaa, the music industry. What they did was, if you tried to send a music file to your friend and they found out, they'd slap you on the wrist or fine you, because actually you're breaching copyright.
Right.
So what you can...
Sorry, say that again.
So if you've bought a song and you own the song...
Right, I've bought a song and I own the song.
Yeah, and you digitize it.
I do that.
It's digital music, MP3.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so
so
I'll put it in a form that
sits on the computer.
Yeah.
Like your iPod.
Yeah.
Or your
Yeah.
what's it called? Oh, any smartphone now.
Yeah.
You've got music on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
If you send that music to somebody else
Right.
and they find out, they'll block it or they'll fine you, because you're not allowed to do that.
Right.
And if it's going from one person to another person, it's easy to spot that.
Right. Okay.
So what they came up with quite a while ago now, they'd split that song up into 1,000 parts and send it on 1,000 different directions, and they'd come back together at the end at your friend's computer.
Right.
And nobody could tell where it really came
So
from.
they couldn't track it.
They couldn't track it.
So having all these roads into there where they all meet again,
Yeah.
there's no tracking. Whereas if there's just one, you can track it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So that's called peer-to-peer connection.
Right. Okay.
Now, very important, when that technology came along, it meant that you could send big files over many different routes and in fact, you could then send it. Wait a minute, if I've got this song going to one person and it's going through all these computers, why can't I send that song to anybody who wants it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you set up a little file and it's got an ID on it. You say, well, this is Bananarama's greatest hits. Because I know you like Bananarama.
I knew we'd get to talking about something really interesting. Sorry, back to Digicoin.
So you've got your Bananarama album.
Yeah.
And you put it on your computer in a little special place. It doesn't get complicated. And then anybody who wants that Bananarama album will get it from you, but indirectly.
Right.
And then when they've got half the Bananarama album on their computer, they can share it as well.
Right.
And then anybody else gets assumed that whole network has got millions of copies of the Bananarama album.
Right.
Bananarama.
Bananarama.
Should have chosen something like the Beatles.
Yes, yeah. You're not going to live that Bananarama down.
You're good at
Which
saying
one?
it,
Which
aren't
one
you?
did you like?
So it's now that your one album, not only is it with your friend, it's all over the place. And anybody who wants can. So the music industry didn't like that, so they clamped down on it. But the technology existed, so it basically means that a file that's stored on one computer can be replicated on millions of computers.
But why am I wanting to do that?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that? Well, hold that thought.
Right.
It's a very important question. So I'm going to come back to that. But it can happen. You get out, it can happen.
Yeah.
But why the hell would you want to do that?
Yeah.
The next bit of the puzzle was about encryption. Because when you send that Bananarama file, anybody who gets it can look in it and see that it's Bananarama.
Yeah.
So and stop there. So what I want to do is be able to if you could send files, like say you've got a letter or a secret of information, you didn't want anybody to know, but you want it to go on that fast route, which is quite safe.
To one destination.
To one destination, but I want it to be able to have the speed of going through all the different routes. Does that make sense?
Right.
Sonia? So you want to use the peer-to-peer network.
I suppose it does make sense in how it happens. I
Yeah.
suppose I'm going down
Please.
the why.
Yeah.
Why? As somebody why would I want to do that? Why does it matter? Does this do this with my email, my everyday stuff?
It should do.
Because you've talked about Bananarama and music and stuff like that.
Which doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter to most of us.
Yeah.
To most of us, it's just about connecting.
Yeah.
And, you know, being able to talk. I need some information. I've got some information. I want to send it over there.
Yes.
Yeah. So just the everyday person that isn't, you know, really.
But let's say you wanted to send a letter to a family member that was quite private. You don't want anyone else to be able to read it.
Right.
Well, the network at the moment, once it goes on the network, anybody can get into it and see it.
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine where you might want something to go over the network that nobody could see it except you and the person you sent it to?
Well, in all honesty, because I'm not really up on the security and the aspect, if I'm sending something to somebody, my head's telling me it's okay and I haven't got to worry about it. Now, I have heard that, you've got to be a bit careful and watch this. And somebody over there is looking at me going, I'm with you, Maria, which tells me I'm not on my own. And I'm sorry, I'm feeling a bit ignorant again. But, you know, if I don't ask stupid questions, I say stupid. So you're telling me that if everything that I'm sending, there's eyes all over it?
Well, let's put it this way. There's a lady called Hillary Clinton. I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
Oh.
And
I don't know who you're on about.
And she's in quite a bit of trouble.
Yes.
Why is she in trouble?
Yeah, I did read something the other day, but it's gone in and gone out again.
So
about these letters.
These top secret emails that she'd taken home on her personal laptop and was sending to people because it's not secure. So anybody with the right level of equipment or access could see it. So I've gone a bit high there, but the point is that people are becoming more and more aware that as they, do you do online banking at all?
I do. Okay. But just on that point,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be stuck in. We've got plenty of time because
this
is good stuff. I send an email to, say, my friend Wendy over there, and I think nothing of it, and I think, you know that horrible person over there that we're talking about, we're having a gossip.
Yeah.
Right. I just think Wendy's going to read this, and that person's never going to see it. Right. Is there a chance that they could?
Yes.
I shouldn't be sending it to you anyway, because if I haven't got the guts to say it to their face, I shouldn't be sending it to you. But I'm talking about, the gossips of the world, the rest of the world, not me. But so that horrifies me. But how would that happen? Who would want to be bothered tapping into my stuff? Okay, now, Hillary, I'm getting it.
Here's the thing. There's a guy called Edward Snowden.
Right.
I've heard that name.
I have heard the name, but I can't think. All I can think of is a mountain at the minute.
Yeah. Well, Edward Snowden was the whistleblower who used to work for the National Security Agency. Some of them what the S stands for. One of these acronyms, the NSA, like the CIA. And they're like the secret spy people. And what he really revealed to the world was that the government was recording everybody's emails. So
what's everybody mean?
I think it means everybody.
Yours,
mine, everybody.
Yeah.
Now the point of this is because of the terrorism, they've got to track everything because terrorists use email as well.
Right.
So the government say they need to look at everything, and in the UK we've got GCHQ, and every internet service provider. That's how you send it. So the email leaves your phone or your computer, and goes to your internet service provider.
Right, which would be just
Virgin,
your internet provider.
Talk, BT, and they then distribute that through the network till it gets to whoever it needs to get to. But they are legally bound to record every message transaction that goes through their system.
Why?
Because the terrorists might be talking.
Right. So all these providers are told, because of the way the world is, and terrorists are communicating down this fibre optic line.
You're an expert in a minute.
Right. They have been authorised to record. I don't know that. Maybe I should. I am ignorant, but I'm learning, and that's why I'm here with you. Have I authorised that when I signed up with Virgin or whoever?
You authorised that when you voted your politicians in because they make that decision. Same way you authorised us to go to Iraq, didn't you?
Well, we won't talk about that.
We won't go down that road. But yeah, our political representatives...
So I haven't got an individual say on that particular
No.
Right. Okay, that's quite
That's
scary.
national security
Yeah,
we're
it's
talking
national
about.
security, which little me almost has to have an acceptance of, but no awareness of. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows this. I mean, did you know that? And did you know that? Did you know it? A little bit, yeah, because you speak to this guy. If you didn't speak to this guy, would you be in our camp? Good girl. See, do you see what I mean?
Well, and it's a really important point. It's what, because the world used to be linear. The world used to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could get your head around things. You know, things would change
it was kind
slowly.
of more simple,
straightforward.
less stuff.
Much less stuff, but
down
now,
the phone line.
Yeah.
It was more simple.
Yeah, because you just had a phone line, and
it was just us talking. Nobody could see stuff.
Although, a good point. If you remember those old films when they had the lady in the moving the thing,
and
she could plug
She'd get into the party line.
Yeah, the party
Did
line.
you watch that movie? Rock Hudson was in that.
Oh, you showed. Did your mum tell you about that?
No, you're good. No, you're good. You're good.
So there's always been an ability, but never to the level it is now. So it does mean that they capture everything. So remember I told you those 3 things? One was the peer-to-peer, all the networks being...
Yeah.
And you said why, and I'm going to come back to why. The next thing was, because that network wasn't secure, they needed to get a thing called encryption. So in other words, if you could, before you sent that letter to your friend, if you could code it in such a way that only she could read it, then you could send it on there and not have to worry.
And I often saw questions when I'm at work about encryption and stuff. I never really understood it, but I think I kind of understood that protects me. That's okay.
So it's like,
so they would code my. But do I have to do that, or is that just done depending on who I sign up with?
Depending on it, so you've got different. There's that secure. We won't go into it, but there are different types of encryption. Let's leave it at that. So you could encrypt using a small program on your computer, encrypt your stuff before it goes down the line.
Can I just ask another question? And I know we want to get to Bitcoin and stuff, but this is good. This is real. This is real, yeah. So when I buy a new laptop, they're always trying to sell me stuff to secure my laptop.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, I don't want to do that because, just because I've got to pay for it. I'm trying to keep, you know, I'm on a budget.
Yeah.
So my generation didn't have to think about this when we were very young. So it's not in my DNA.
Exactly.
I'm still, I mean, I'm with my dad actually. I'm still not locking my car sometimes. I am, that's a lie. But my dad still doesn't lock his car. He doesn't. He leaves the windows down. You know, he's of that generation. He just is. He hasn't caught up.
I do that, but it's just because I'm very forgetful.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with your age. And I can do it, but I tend not as much as him. But you see, with the computer, I'm not programmed to think I've got to protect myself.
Yeah.
Now the younger people might be. I don't know if it's a generation thing or it's just that it's not out there enough to tell you about it.
Yeah. Well, I think what normally happens is it's like, is your phone backed up?
I actually had a message today saying you haven't done it for 10 weeks.
And it's one of those things, I'm deadly serious, it's one of those things that it's not until it happens and you feel that pain. So if there's one thing people take away from today's session, you know, find out about encryption, find out about protecting your electronic stuff, and back up your stuff. Because when you lose all those phone numbers and all those addresses and all those notes that you've made, it's a nightmare. So whether it's a generational thing or not, I've got to put my Mr. Serious hat on.
No, of course. No, I understand.
Because we're doing so much more electronically or digitally. I'm showing my age by saying electronically, so digitally.
Yeah.
We're doing so much more digitally that we should be doing that.
Right, so I just want to echo that message then.
Yeah.
As in, so I'm confirming I'm hearing it right.
Yeah.
If you enter into the digital world and you buy a new phone, a laptop or whatever it is, don't worry about why you're doing it at the moment. It's really, really important that you do buy that extra security or ask questions. I need to be safe. I need to be secure. I won't go into the technical language because that scares me and then I decide I don't want to hear it. I want to be safe and please tell me what I need to do to be safe and then that will protect me.
And you shouldn't be paying more than £30 a year for a good piece of
Well, that's
security
interesting
software.
because I went into a certain high street provider who wanted to charge me £75.
And that you know, you think if high street stores are going to try and give you that
Yes.
big number,
Yeah.
but there are other providers online. So when you've got, wait until you get home, go online, just put security, internet
Yeah.
safety, and you'll get something
Yeah,
around.
and on that
£30.
note, they tried to offer me this product, and they did blind me with science, and I lost interest. If they'd just said, Maria, you know, if you don't have this, anyone can read your stuff. It could get out there in the wrong hands. It's important to keep yourself safe. I might have understood that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is important the language that we use, especially for certain generations. Maybe the younger generation.
I would say I wouldn't even go everybody, because you get your new toy, you're very happy with it, and you start playing with it until something bad happens.
Yeah, fair point.
You don't care.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good thing. Another point is obviously programs like this or networks like this. So we don't speak enough about what we're doing. So, you know, maybe it's another good reason for tuning in to the podcast.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. It absolutely is. So, you've talked about peer-to-peer.
Yeah, so peer-to-peer. So that's the network. Just visualise boxes that pretend computers all wired up together all over the planet. So just imagine the Earth covered in these boxes, all wired together, and any file on any computer can be copied on every computer. We're all connected, and all our stuff is everywhere.
Gosh.
That's technical,
so if
isn't
there
it?
was no, hang on, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
So if there wasn't any, what's the word, protection or ideas to keep it secure, if I'm doing this, could you just suddenly see it on your computer?
All over the place, all the time.
So there are things already in place without me having to do anything.
Right, there are certain levels of security. Right? The first thing is you've got the security of your password.
Yes. What does that do? Very little.
It makes it wastes a bit of time. So there are different levels of security. You've got the security of your password. If it's less than 75 characters alphanumeric, the computers out there can crack it in 20 minutes.
Gosh.
But that's only if they were targeting you. I don't want to.
Well, that's the other thing now. That's my other question.
I knew you were going to go there. Don't go there just yet.
You want me to hold on?
Yeah, hold that one. Because
remind me then, because I might forget.
We'll talk. So let's stay with the picture. So you've got the whole planet covered in computers, all wired together, and with satellites and undersea cables and radios. So we're all wired together. That's the world we live in. We've talked about the security. So this Satoshi Nakamoto, I don't know, Mr. SN,
right?
The guy who's making it wanted to be able to use that network that existed, but he needed some encryption on it, which are passwords.
Okay.
You have a public password and a private password. So we've got passwords. That means you can put your message inside an envelope of security and seal it and send it down the wire.
Right.
And only the person who you want it to receive it can open it, because she'll have a password that only works with your password. So it'll be a Maria password and a Wendy password. So you've got a Maria password and a public password.
And we are then assuming that only one person, the person who wants to receive it, has access to their envelope.
To that envelope.
Because if I posted an envelope to a house,
exactly,
5 people could open, 5, 6, whatever the household is, could actually pick that envelope up, despite me addressing it to Mr. A.
Yeah.
Whereas, so actually, that's a benefit, isn't it?
It's really good.
That's
so
a benefit.
With digital encryption,
that's good.
Only the person with Wendy's password. No, I didn't say only Wendy. So only the person with Wendy's password. Because one of the things with...
That's why it's important Wendy protects her password,
You got it.
Yeah, got you.
So it's the password that protects it, not the person.
Not the person.
And next time we'll talk about biometrics and stuff like that,
Oh,
where
it
could be the person.
You're scaring me now.
So that's two things. Number one, it's all connected, peer-to-peer networking.
Peer-to-peer network, and I'm
Second
happy with that.
thing is it's encrypted, so the stuff that we put in our envelope that goes on the network can only be seen by the person it's intended for.
If we encrypt it.
When we encrypt it.
What about the ones that don't, though?
Well, we're talking about Bitcoin and Hyperledger. The whole point is the system is based on being encrypted.
And doing that. That's
fine. You can't play if you're not protected.
Got you. Right, number 3 then.
So number 3, what is number 3? So you got decentralized. Oh, and So the second we've already talked about that. So it's the fact that what he wanted to do was to make sure that your data, so when you put that envelope on there, if there's a break in the network or something goes wrong, she might never receive it. Wendy might never get it. So what he decided was, we'll replicate that letter. Your letter will replicate on every node in the network.
Every node.
Every computer. Sorry,
Yeah.
dropped in the jargon there.
Yeah.
Every computer on the network will have a copy of your letter.
Right. Okay.
Which means wherever Wendy is in the world, when she logs in and asks for your letter, she can get it from anywhere.
She doesn't know. She doesn't have to ask where to get it from, though, does she?
Well, how will she know you've sent her a letter?
No, but she will just log on and not think about that.
Yes. You're sharp, yeah.
Yeah.
So when she logs on,
yeah.
wherever she logs on from, much better way of saying it. Wherever Wendy logs on from, whether she's in Germany, England, Holland, Australia, anywhere she logs on in the world, there'll be a node, there'll be a computer with her information on it, with your letter on it.
Right. So she doesn't. I mean, we don't even have to think about where we're going to go into it.
No,
it's already sorted for us.
But there's another really good thing about that, which what it means is, if half the internet blew up for some reason, she'd still be able to get her letter. Because it's be over there. So when you replicate it, you're actually it's a kind of protection.
It protects that. So if the internet. Oh right, okay. Say that again. So if the internet does one.
So yeah, if half the internet does one.
Right, because if the whole thing went, surely that would cut off everything.
That's right. But in other words, if there was a breach, a breakdown, a packet somewhere, it would still get.
It's
to
still
her.
Protected. Yeah.
Now I'm saying this about the letter, but it's really important for cryptocurrency. What we're saying is, I'll give you I have to give you the jargon words now. So the first word is decentralized.
Right.
That means there's no computer where your information is stored exclusively.
Yeah, centrally.
Centrally.
Yeah. Right, there isn't.
There isn't. So it's a cloud. It's a network.
So let me just think of a way of understanding that. We always have, when I think of the word centralisation, I think of companies.
Yes.
And they always have a head office.
Yes.
There's no head office.
There's no head office. Really, really important point. There's no head office.
There's no head office.
There's no main place where it's stored. Once you put it on the network, the protocol, the program, sends it everywhere.
Right.
So it's decentralised.
Right.
No central office.
Right.
No boss place. Yeah,
no
really,
boss. Well, I'm thinking like that in terms of hierarchy or
no hierarchy.
levels. We're all equal.
All equal.
All
goes
equal.
everywhere. And it's.
Is that a good thing?
And we're going to talk about why that's a good thing. Yeah. So, but just understand that concept. So the next thing is, it's unchangeable. So one of the things that happens is once your letter goes onto the network, it can never be changed.
Right.
So when Wendy receives it, she doesn't have to wonder, is this really from Maria? Has anybody been in there and changed it from...
And is that going back to the protection of...
Back to protection, back to security.
Yeah, it's unchangeable. Get that. That's simple.
It spells dude, by the way, when you get to it. So, decentralised, unchangeable, distributed. Now, distributed sounds like decentralized, but distributed is... Maybe I should have made distributed first. So, let's go distributed means that we sent it everywhere.
Yes.
Unchangeable. And decentralized means that everybody has to agree that it's right. So because you've sent it all out to everybody, how can I make some? So there's a term called consensus. So,
right.
So when it's out there, some naughty person might try and change your letter.
So it has to be based on 100% consensus.
51% actually.
Oh.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's quite a lot. So if over, because it's like 50-50.
What does that mean? So 49% could
get it wrong, but
get it wrong.
But until, because what happens is as it's passing around as it passes around the network.
Excuse me.
And it's going to be, I've got it. Before they can say this is genuine, 51% of the network has got to go, yeah, that's a good one. You're good to go.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, it's much higher than that in the real world. But that's just when it ticks over to say, yep. So not only is it distributed everywhere.
So it's distributed everywhere.
Yeah.
It's unchangeable, can't be changed. It's decentralised, as in it doesn't go to one central place. It goes straight out.
Yeah.
Now, what's the E?
Encrypted. We've already done it.
And it's encrypted.
So no.
so nobody can tap in and see
except the person
we're sending it to.
So unchangeable
dude is good.
Dude is good.
Dude is good.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's
like that.
we start distributed, unchangeable, decentralized, because that's a lot easier than saying practical Byzantine fault tolerance consensus system.
Right, yeah, all right. Yeah, let's not go there.
Say that.
Yeah. You're showing off now.
Yeah, so
showing off.
Just in
But
case-
he can't say banana rama. Yeah? Is it the simple things that trip you up?
There you go. There. And E is encrypted. Now that's really good that we're taking the time to get there, because that wasn't easy to do. And the guy who did it is obviously a genius. Once he did it, it meant we can do some very special things on the network.
But was that all created and designed when the internet first started?
No, it evolved. The bits were all there, and then it got to a point where this guy said, wait a minute, we've got peer-to-peer networking, we've got the distribution, we've got codes where we can lock things so nobody can see them who's not meant to, and there's a lot more, and we've got consensus algorithms that run in the product that say these are all right, and we've got encryption. His genius was putting them all together.
Right, so when we did start the internet, all that was considered. It wasn't completely naive. Oh, we've just got this wonderful thing where we can all talk together. And
it was completely naive.
It was very naive. Well, I would have thought it would be,
it was.
because it was so exciting.
Well,
You'd be overwhelmed with the fact that you could do it.
And it wasn't naive in the sense that they didn't think about it. It was just that it started off, and we really just with Tim Berners. People just wanted to be able to get computers to talk to each other, and it was very complicated. So they came up with this one language that all computers of all different types could talk, and because they're all connected, and that's where the World Wide Web came from.
Right.
So that all different machines could talk to each other, and they just sent simple files. It was hard to predict back then how fast technology would grow and how complicated. So
who would know?
Who would know?
Yeah, but do you know, from the time it all sort of got set up to the time that knowledge came to the surface and thought, oh gosh, we've got to do the decentralisation of the dude. Was that a year, 2 years, 3 years, or do you know? It doesn't matter if you don't know.
Well, it's 2008 was the Bitcoin, and then 84. Someone will have to help me out a little bit. But Tim Berners-Lee, my head's saying around 84. But yeah,
so you're talking 20 odd years.
And in the scheme of things, not very long.
In the scheme of things, I suppose, going forward.
If you start with slates and writing tablets and...
But in our time, a very long time, in our lifetimes, 20 odd years.
Okay.
No, I think where I'm going with this is, during that time, is there a lot of damage been done? Because
because it's been open.
It's been open.
Yes. In fact, one of the big secrets or things that aren't told is that the banking system gets defrauded to the tune of billions every day. So Visa, but they don't shout about it. But they're incredibly vulnerable to.
But even now.
Even now. Yeah.
But hasn't that massively reduced because of Dude?
Not yet. But the whole you've gone woo. You've gone. So that's okay. We'll answer that question now. But
right. Okay.
But what's happening now is the whole banking system are trying to use the hyperledger. Remember I said that Bitcoin, the system we've talked about, was created by a man because he wanted to do Bitcoin. But once he made it, it can be used to do a lot more. Because like you just said, you just went, wait a minute, if we've got all that stuff, can't the banks use it to make us really safe?
Yes.
See,
you know where my head goes.
And you're right, and that's right now, billions of dollars, pounds of venture capitalist money is being poured into the world of the hyperledger, and I'll throw some of the names at that a little bit later. So you've just, we can go now. You've gone to the end. So so that's the point. So that technology is so powerful that it's changing the way stock exchanges work. Will work. Banks will work. Organisations will work. How musicians will work.
Well, just as individuals will work. It covers everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So your education, your knowledge is commendable. God bless you. No, you are. You really are. You've taught me loads. I love it. No, you really. I won't remember it.
Dude. You will,
dude. I remember Dude. And
distributed,
it is,
unchangeable, decentralised, encrypted. Dude.
No, that's great. And it's just sitting here now, it's been a joy because I'm thinking I know a little bit more now and I'm not frightened to ask the dumb questions, and I love that. But that was really talking about the internet, wasn't it? And our communication and our security. Let's talk about Bitcoin and what's going on now with this. And can you just probably take just a minute or so just telling us what it is again and how, because some people out there are still, as naive as I was back when I asked you in the first place. And in all honesty, I can't remember. So come on.
Well, we've got Dude now, so understand we've got this, I'm saying it so everyone will remember it, this distributed everywhere,
unchangeable, decentralized, encrypted.
So now what you can do is you can create digital money, because I think remember I told you about this ledger.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the ledger. So what you've got is now.
I just have to stop you 1 minute.
Yeah.
What we just talked about was connection and communication.
Yes.
Right. Now you're moving on to money.
Yes.
Energy.
Yes.
Purchasing. Yes. Receiving.
Yes.
So, just to keep it simple, as in our everyday language, not too technical. But we've done communication. I can talk to you. You can talk to me. Now I want to be able to spend my energy, which I've always done so in the form of a pound note in this country.
Yeah.
Whether it be a physical coin or note, or whether it be on a piece of plastic,
or whether it be just typing on your computer.
Right,
online banking.
With online banking, yes.
So what's online banking? What's moving in online banking?
Yes, that's almost this energy is moving in the digital world.
Well, it's a number. You've got a number. You've got a number.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
When you log onto your computer and you've got £70,000, I know that's the kind of money you keep in your account. So you've got £70,000 in your account, and you want to buy something for £1,000. All that happens, the only thing that happens is you authorise your bank to make the number in your account go from 70,000 to 69,000.
Yeah.
So I got 69.
Yeah.
69,000.
Yeah.
And then the computer, the person or the account you're sending it to, the bank's computer says you go from being 1,000 less. You become 1,000 more.
So it's a maths equation.
It's maths
between
two computers.
In the same way that would be between you and I. I've got 3 apples and all that old stuff. Yeah, perfect. Got you.
So no, but really important that we just spend a moment thinking about that.
Yeah.
So you are already using digital currency.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah.
So all you've done is go.
Haven't got anything physical.
Nothing physical. You just
it's
send in a message.
On numbers.
And remember that we talked about the message. So on your computer, you send a message.
Yeah.
To the bank's computer.
Yeah.
With all your account numbers and the person you speak to their account number.
Yeah.
And then they get £1,000, or vice versa. If somebody sends you £1,000, so that's a transaction. It's a conversation.
Yeah, it's a conversation.
But that's centralised because the bank's computer's got all the information. The bank's computer's in charge.
So we're knocking out the 1D out of dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just no. Yeah. And we're bringing in centralised. It's not decentralised.
And what does the bank do? What privilege do they want? What privilege do they have for doing that for you?
Charge me for it. So I'm going to send Wendy £100. I do my little bit and my laptop. Yeah. It goes to the bank. And then the bank do whatever they do, and then they send it to Wendy. So I'm being governed.
You're being governed.
And they might charge me for it.
Yeah. Especially if you didn't have enough. Oh, you don't get any bank charges?
No. Well, I don't get any that I see. It's all online, free.
Well, and they work on. So that there is a charge, whether it's a percentage of the thing, or you're paying for the account, or if you go into overdraft or something happens. So banks have got their clever
ways. They have their ways of doing
it.
But if you're smart, you do it.
If you're smart,
you don't have to.
You can get away with it.
Yeah, but okay.
But
they have some control anyway.
But they have control, and what they can also do is tell you, we don't want you to be. They can just kick you off their network. They can say, well, we don't like you anymore. Go back with somebody else.
Yeah, they have control.
Or they could change the rules and say, we don't charge you. Times are really hard. We've had Brexit. We're going to charge you now. So they're in control.
They're in control.
It's their system, and you're a little...
Yeah. I have to bow down to their rules, and if I do still want to send it to Wendy, it still has to go through them.
Yes.
I have to sort of ask them, please send this.
And it's faster now, but not as fast. It's not. It's sometimes not. Well, you have to give them the credit. It's instant now, but for a long time it wasn't instant. And if you wanted to send Wendy that money in America, they would definitely charge you for turning it into dollars or changing the thing.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
So this is what the creators of Bitcoin, they thought, well, wait a minute, if we've got this global network, we've paid our ISP, because it's not totally free, we've paid our internet bill, and we can connect to everybody in the world, what if we could send an IOU? What if you could have your own IOU that says, Wendy, if you give this to anybody else, they'll give you £10, so your own money, because that's all money is, isn't it? It's an IOU. Right. So if you could actually send money to Wendy over the network, without any bank involved.
Yes.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Would it be good? Would it make any difference to the way I'm doing it now and how I'm thinking?
Yes, but the point is it is scary, but it's scary. And if we go back to your previous section about fear, we actually think if the bank are doing it, they will look after me.
I have
big
comfort,
daddy.
kind
They're
of.
my comfort,
Because I'm programmed to think banks look after my money.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to? Does somebody on the floor wants to?
No. That. Yeah, we'll come to you in a minute. We'll come to you in a minute. Thank you. Bless you. But that's really interesting because when I was a little girl, people talked about the old boy that kept his dollars under the bed.
Mattress, yeah.
But I heard about it, but it wasn't for me. I was introduced to banks at a very young age, so it wasn't strange. So banks and money, they control. I accept it. Yeah. I'm used to it. So you're telling me now that it's almost, or I don't know if you are telling me, this is what I'm hearing, that it's okay to take that control. Wouldn't it be nice to take that control away?
Yeah.
Actually, when I think of it like that, there's a freedom to it. Yes. And I like...
And freedom costs, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a freedom to it. Yeah. And I like the idea of that freedom and lack of control and less control. But my programming says you've always been used to this. You really... And if you ask me to vote...
I'm going to vote for the bank.
Vote for the bank. I don't know. What's my real truth? And I've talked about that earlier. I'd have to start questioning
here's
myself.
Something else happened in 2008. Not only was Bitcoin fun, what else happened in 2008 with banks?
Was this when they all went
a bit? Crashed.
Yeah, it all crashed. And
you know what they did? They said, oops, it's crashed. Let's get the taxpayer to foot the bill.
Yes. Right. So then they don't take responsibility. So they're okay on a good day, and on a bad day, they ain't okay.
And what I'm trying to say is, you're responsible. They've just told you that you're not.
Well, they make up the rules. This is interesting. So, as I said to you, if I started doing a bit more digging and exploring of this subject, and I urge everybody to do this, because my default setting just went with, oh no, I know this is the way I've always done it, but you've kind of helped me to start looking at that. So take them away then. Hang on a minute. No, that question, wouldn't that be... I think it might be good. I don't know if I'm 100% there yet, but you've moved me from no to slightly, hang on a minute, I might like this. This actually might sound a little bit more down my freedom.
Yeah.
My road less travelled.
The road less travelled.
I love getting that one in. You must read the book. Right, okay.
So, what we've now got is we doed it up, so we know it's safe and it can work, and it's all connected. But now we have to create the token, our digital. So remember our bank account numbers.
Hold on, have we missed a skip?
What did I skip?
Well, you're saying we're not doed it up, and now you're going to say let's replace it and doed it up.
Okay, so Bitcoin. Okay, so here's what dudes are.
Did you get where?
I missed a bit. The ledger. Back to the ledger.
Right.
So the thing we're going to put in the envelope now is going to be a ledger. Because I'm going to say to you, you've got £2,000, £70,000. You're going to need 1,000. So everybody, if they're going to use this for currency, they all start off with a ledger. So you, in your new bank account, am I not on too far there? So imagine there's a new banking system.
So we've moved away from that one that we know.
Yeah, we've let. Well, they're still there.
They're still
doing
there.
their thing. We haven't
Right, so
cut
what's
them off.
changed?
What we've changed, we've got another bank account now.
Right.
Yeah, I can have two bank accounts.
Right.
But this bank account runs on the Dude network. I'll have to write this down sometime. But it runs on the worldwide network that already exists. You already pay your ISP for. You're already using it for email, and now you've added.
Right. I think I understand now. So we're moving away from the typical online banking. I have a bank account that does
you've still
that.
got that.
But you've told me there's an opportunity now for me to go to that freer place that I crave and want via a decentralisation route, a dude route.
A dude route.
Which is exactly the same as the route for our communication that we use today.
Bingo.
Yeah? Is it landed?
Yeah.
I hope it's landed with everybody else. I hope I haven't oversimplified it, but
yeah.
I
So
think that's
there are
it.
some things in there that purist model, but I think that's really good. So we've got this network that we're already using anyway. We just need to have a model or a program or an app. Because that's what, when you get an app on your phone, it's just it's just a program that's running on the network that already exists.
Right. Okay.
So we can call this app the Bitcoin app, and there are lots of them out there, so we're not going too far. Now what that needs is, it needs you to have an address, which is, you might call your bank account number.
Okay. Yeah.
Address, bank account number. And you need to have a record of what money you've got and what money you've sent and what money you've received, which is called the ledger.
Yeah. No, that's good. With you.
Yeah. So once
is
you've
that
got
equivalent to the statement that the
your
bank
bank
would
statement,
normally produce?
your bank statement, what's going on, absolutely. But what happens with this is, why should people trust you that yours? And this is where we're going back now to why it's unchangeable. Because one of the letters was, why do you want it to be? Why do you want to be locked down? Because what happens now is, and this is one of the most powerful elements of the blockchain (brackets dude) system. So what the blockchain does is, when you start, so okay, you want to open one of these accounts, you pay £100 from your old type,
old type
centralised
of
bank account into your new bank account.
My new, would that be called a Bitcoin?
Yes, into your Bitcoin
my
account.
Bitcoin wallet.
Ooh, you remembered something. So you get the money from your bank account into your Bitcoin wallet, and your ledger now says the equivalent of £100 worth of Bitcoins.
Right. Yeah.
And now that's in your wallet, and you're ready to play.
Yeah. So now that I can use that £100 to go straight to Wendy without going through that bank. Nobody's ever going to have any control.
No.
Nobody's ever going to say, I'm going to charge you for it. No one. So this is almost like I'm on the money. I'm looking after the money. I feel good about that, and no bank has got to intervene in any shape or form. What if I transferred the whole 70 grand?
Yeah.
Right. Where's the interest?
What is interest?
Well, my bank might say, Maria, if you keep your 70 grand in your account now, I'm going to pay you some interest every month or whatever. But if you take that out and put it into Bitcoin, which gives me freedom and control, but does my energy grow? Does my money grow?
Well, let's. You talked about Brexit earlier.
Am I going off the?
No, this is very good.
This
is very important. It's not clear cut, but it's very important. It's a little bit. So we've got to pay them. So let's look at what happened, because this stuff is real. We're not making up. It's happening. It's been around since 2008. So it's not. We're talking about things that are real. So what happened last week? We had Brexit. Was it a week, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. Well, it feels like it's still here. So.
Yeah. So we had Brexit. What happened to your 70,000 UK pounds after Brexit?
Oh right, yeah. My 70k UK pounds isn't worth what it was before Brexit.
10% wiped off it, if not more,
absolutely,
the lowest.
Yeah.
What happened to Bitcoin?
Oh, well, you need to tell me. Why did it?
Because people were running from the UK pound to silver, gold, and digital currencies.
Ah,
So the
interesting.
answer to your question is, where's the interest? Well, like all currencies, like all values, it goes up and
Still
down.
is affected. It's almost like then like a share. Does it work like a?
No.
In some ways?
Yes, in some ways, but a share is where you've got a share of a company's performance.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin is money. It's
But it's money that's affected like shares are by what's going on out there.
But we just said that the UK pound isn't a share. It's a currency, but it's impacted by the markets as well.
Yeah. So it's exactly the same as
So
the
what you're
pound
saying,
then.
yeah, I know what you're saying. So like shares are impacted by the market, so are currencies, and so is Bitcoin
Yeah.
because
Okay. Yeah. I'll probably
Bitcoin
overthought that.
is
Yeah.
a
got it.
currency.
Yeah.
So the thing so now you've got all the elements of a currency. You can exchange it.
Oh, sorry, but I am sorry. I've
That's
just
good,
it's there.
good.
Forgetting about what the world does out there,
Yeah.
I can still get some interest that we agreed and fixed in my bank account. If I put money into it, it can say, well, you can have 6% for the next 2 years or whatever.
Yes.
And that's not affected by what goes out in the world.
Yes, it is.
Well, it can be, but it can still.
Well, let's keeping it simple. You're saying, let's say you've got a savings account, building society account. You put your money into the building society account, and then you get interest on it. Well, you wouldn't get that unless because Bitcoin is money. So you don't get if you've got £10 in your pocket, you don't get interest on that £10. You get interest on that £10 when you put it into the savings account.
Yes.
Bitcoin is money. It's the money in your pocket.
Yes.
So it's not.
So
it's
it's
not
so it's not designed for that reason.
No, it's designed for you to spend or exchange or
right.
It's like cash.
That might sound pretty obvious now you've said it, but
No. So you got to.
So
it's
about
cash.
So Bitcoin is about the spend.
It's
It's
cash.
the behaviour.
It behaves
The
like
behaviour
cash.
as how we use cash. I don't use cash to save as much, do I?
Well, only if you put it into a building site, a savings account. So it's not a property of the cash that it makes interest. It's because you could have £10 in a high interest account. You could have £10 in a low and £10 in a current account.
I think my questioning is going this way because my head is saying we're not going to be having the bank and the savings account anymore. In an ideal world, it would sound to me like I want that and I want Bitcoin.
Yeah. So remember when you said to me, I asked you what interest is?
Yeah.
Now what interest is, it's the evil of the modern world. You know, it's the devil. Interest is the devil.
This not, it's a bit of it's cunning, isn't it? It's like, come over here and I'll give you this.
And so Bitcoin. So what's interest? Interest is the fact that banks print money out of nothing, and we're just going to go to a whole new segment if we go down that road. But really, interest is where I lend you £10, and I say you've got to give me £11 back when you give it me back. That's interest, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when a bank does that, they don't have that other pound. When you go to the bank and you give them £10, they don't have that other pound.
No.
They just make it up because you've lent it them.
Yes. Yeah.
And it comes out of nowhere, and that's why we're all in this. And I'm saying it very, very quickly. So the people who've created Bitcoin really don't want to do interest. They don't want to do interest.
And actually, the more I think about it, I don't think money is designed to create interest. I think that's where, money is designed.
Money wasn't originally designed to
No,
create interest.
it's almost like the lazy way. Yeah, you can make your money grow by giving it me.
And what's happened in the UK and in the West, the banks have become the things that make money.
Yes, and we're
not doing engineering anymore. We're not doing farming anymore. We're not doing
fabulous.
real stuff
I
anymore.
love this. This is what it's all about. It's not even about the money.
That's right,
it's about the attitude
Perfect.
towards it
And
to help us do what we really, really want. Going back to my earlier
going back
talk,
to
the love come from the love. Whilst I'm letting the bank control it, I'm coming from fear. It's all fear. It's not.
Remember
love.
what you said? You even asked the question. You said, "Well, where's my interest? Why?" And I said, "Why?
I'm
do you
programmed
interest?
to be bothered about the
why
interest,
do you interest?
and really,
Don't you want to just have a fair exchange?"
well, that's
I'll do what I
walking the
do.
broad path of destruction, isn't it? that narrow path that I talked about wouldn't be asking for the interest. It'd be going, you keep going along this path and it'll all be beautiful and your money will come to you. Yeah, fabulous. You know something, even though you've gone down all that technical, but it's interesting because you've gone down all that technical stuff and I've got some knowledge now on that, but it's not about that. It's about the freedom.
And if we stay on that path a little bit longer, that's why Bitcoin, the original cryptocurrency, was designed with and I have to show you, it was designed that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins. Now it sounds like a lot, but what governments do is they print more money. Well, where does that money come from? They haven't made more motor cars, they haven't made more, they've just gone, let's have some more money and throw it in the pot. And that's what creates inflation. That's why the price things go up. Bitcoin is called a deflationary currency. Right. You can never get any more than the 20 million. You can't print any more. Oh. And that means that it's like gold, it's like silver, it's just what it is. You can't get any more
and
of it.
It's almost like when gold and silver was there. You have what you have.
You have what you have.
You have what's
you can't
there.
say we're going to print some more gold. You couldn't.
No, because what the earth produced was just what was there.
What was there.
It's like we should live on the fat of the land. We're going back now, aren't we? Sorry, that's another subject.
So you asked me. So that's kind of.
You know what?
A bit about Bitcoin.
That's brilliant. You've gone on about how it was and what's happening, but there's stuff going on at the moment now. Let's get current.
Let's get current. So what happened was, and I'll do a little analogy. I'll talk about a cake. So imagine what we've just talked about was a recipe for a cake. It's for a Victoria sponge. Right. So we know. So dude is a recipe for a Victoria sponge. Mm-hmm. And everybody, they don't call it a cake. They call it Victoria sponge because it's only cake. So you just call it Victoria sponge. You don't say it's a cake. It's a Victoria sponge. When somebody says, wait a minute, if we put raisins in it, cut it in half, put some cream in there, bit of icing on the top, we've got a birthday cake. We've got a different kind of cake. Right. You know, and so this Bitcoin was the first application that the ledger, this electronic ledger, was used for. But then people said, wait, could we do something else with it? Not just money. What if we could put contracts in there? You could put your wedding certificate in there, and then anybody anywhere could look in and see that you are married. You could put your driving license in there. Lots of stuff that you wouldn't have to be centralized. So imagine if you're driving and a policeman stops you, he'll put your license plate into his computer and it'll go to the DVLA, interrogate the DVLA database and come back and say whether you're insured or... But it's got to go back there. And the DVLA run things. But if you just registered your car on this network... Right.
Oh, I know where you're going, yeah.
Anybody... So there's a lot... So
it's almost like you could replicate this dude and all of this stuff into anything.
Anything that you can digitise, you can put on the blockchain.
So what does that do for the world?
Wow, that's a huge question. So what it does for... An example I was going to give was what it does for the... there's all these examples. So there are lots of use cases. Let's not go there first. So we now know that there are other cakes that can be made. There are other models, there are other things, and this is called the block ledger. So you can put anything in the envelope, and you can do lots of things with it. So because of that, lots of organisations are getting money. They're getting seed funding, venture capital to try and make these different applications. And where we are today is there are hundreds. There's one that's called Ethereum. Now Ethereum has created their own network of computers, or a program that's different to the blockchain, and what it does is it allows people to write programs. So rather than sending a letter, and so an example of an Ethereum program could be this thing called Zonify. And what Zonify does is it says, when you get married, you've got to change your name, and that's a massive opportunity for identity fraud. Right. Because some ladies, not you, they'll change their driving license, change their house address, change a couple of things, and then I'll get around. You know, when they send me a reminder, I'll get
that is me. That is me. Yeah.
When they send it, I'll sort that out. But in that gap, there's a huge opportunity for identity theft. So one thing that you can do on the blockchain is if you put it on the blockchain and the registrar. So when you're signing the registrar thing in the penitentiary, no, that's not right. When you're signing in the registrar's office, and this is happening right now. I'm talking to a lady called Selena Worrell, who are producing this right now. They're talking to all the registrars in all around the UK, and what they will then do, that registrar will enter it into their little blockchain app,
Right.
or big blockchain app, and it will register all that person's details, and then it will be replicated to the gas, electricity, everybody needs to be done.
Oh, right.
Will happen, and they'll be able to trust that it's true because it's unchangeable, because on the blockchain.
Right.
So that's an example, and wherever you are, so rather than having to fill in all those things yourself, your
Yes.
ID is replicated everywhere,
Yes.
and people know that it's unchangeable and it's encrypted,
and
so it's only you.
It makes it quite clean, very
Very
honest.
clean. Yeah.
It's what is the truth.
It's the ooh. People say, if you're going to do this esoteric thing, they say that history started in 2008, because before 2008,
It wasn't.
whoever had the power wrote the history books.
Yes.
But now that
Yes.
we've got the stuff on the blockchain that can't be changed,
The real
the
stuff's
real
there.
story's there, and it's replicated everywhere.
Absolutely.
So we're now living in the first period of history.
So this
that's
is
real.
actually this whole blockchain Bitcoin stuff is it's really good. It's really it I think now the way you've described it, that it's free, as not as in it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It gives you a choice. It allows you to make up your mind as to what's there without being controlled.
Yeah.
It's a happy thing. It's a good thing. It's all the nice positive words.
Yeah.
What's negative about
Okay,
it?
I was going to say, so what's happened is, as they do, so Bitcoin is worth there's about 10, I've got to keep an eye on because there's this thing called the halving coming up, but there's about 10 billion pounds worth of Bitcoin out there, which sounds like a lot, but in the scheme of things,
It
it's
isn't.
nothing.
No, I understand that.
Now the banks are building their own hyperledgers, which aren't open, it's just their computers on there. So they'll be able to offer you the speed, the security,
Excuse me.
and they'll save themselves a lot of money because they
Mhm.
don't need all the staff that used to do the stuff in the
Mhm.
bank. So the banks are using it to get rid of people, but it's going to be what's called a private hyperledger, a private blockchain.
So it's almost as if they're the wolf in lamb's clothing here.
Yeah.
They're kind of
The same. We've got
we
blockchain.
can do that. You can. We're still going to make sure that we've got
We
all the
can-
control, but you're
yeah.
not going to know about it.
And there's going to be more of their stuff out there, just because they've got all the money, they've got all the controls.
So what's out there now? Because it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, you are bought into the idea of Bitcoin and blockchain without
Absolutely.
the bank.
Without the banks.
You,
without the,
you're down the free road less travelled,
Yeah.
and you're bought into it, and you know a lot, and you're comfortable with it. What are you going to do to that person that reacted like me at first,
Yeah.
who doesn't investigate it?
well, we've
How are
got,
you going to get that message out?
So what we've got is, I've been trying to get Peter to join in, but we've got a couple of WhatsApp groups and networks for education. So there's a West Midlands blockchain groups, and not just us, but there are lots of groups out there.
Mhm.
And I think this, the Nave Coin group has been doing with what you're doing now. What we're doing here is getting that message out. It's really got the message out. I think people are going to hear more about it mainstream because there are lots of things now that are about to arrive. I'm going to give you another bit of jargon now. It's called the Internet of Things. Now, in about 2 or 3 years maximum, you're going to hear that word like you hear iPhone. Now, the Internet of Things is where everything we own will talk to everything we own.
Right.
So the car's already talking to each other.
Mhm.
Your fridge will talk to the supermarket.
Mhm.
Your, I don't know. I've said your fridge. I don't know. Your your dustbin will become digitized and it will tell the dustbin man service, whatever they call it. What's a good word for that? Who does the dustbin service?
Council.
The council. It'll tell the council when your bins need editing. So everything's going to become smarter and smarter.
Yes.
And
yes.
You've heard of Uber.
Yes.
So Uber is just the first stage in getting rid of humans
Yes.
in the transport
yes.
network. You've heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
So
yeah.
the way that will work is
In fact, John was here. He told me a story about that. Yeah.
so
good.
what's happening is as machines start to talk to machines, they don't currently have bank accounts. Your car doesn't have a bank account.
Yeah.
But with blockchain, the car can have its own bank account because you don't need any people.
No.
You just need a program.
No.
So imagine this. The taxi comes to your house to pick you up.
Mm-hmm.
There's no driver there because it's a driverless car.
Mm-hmm.
Connected to the internet and everything else.
Yeah, yeah.
Picks you up. You use your swipe. You know your what's it when you tap it on the thing now?
Contactless.
Your contactless. So the car then gets its money, drops you off. It goes to the petrol station, talks to the petrol pump with the money you've given it, tops up, goes to the garage, gets a service, and no humans are involved.
Yeah, and
in
that provokes the obvious question. You know, all these people's jobs, and it's going to create all this.
Yeah. So here's my
depression.
We're really going off track here, but people ask me, what do people do? And I say art.
Art.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Create.
Yeah.
We're supposed to create.
Yeah.
And nobody says that because it's kind of, we're not allowed to do nothing.
No.
Why not? Because what happens with each advancing technology, labour saving, who gets the benefit? The 1% at the top.
Yes.
But we all made it happen.
We all made it happen.
Why
We're
they?
part of that
why
creation.
why don't some of that money be used? And there's a guy called Jacques Fresco who should look up, and so lots of very clever people have already answered this and say what we should in cities. We should have cities that are based around art, and art ends up creating technology anyway.
Yes.
And if we believe in an abundant world, an abundant society,
there's enough for everybody.
and we know there is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But people are scared to say that.
Yeah. On that though, I'm quite inquisitive, and I'm starting to understand in this world that, you know, it's not about this detail. It's about, you know, being happy, joyous and free, and searching for the love. And it almost sounds like not your idea, but the creation of blockchain is coming from that place.
Absolutely.
It's coming from that place so that everybody has this
Well,
energy.
the person who created it gave it away.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Now imagine
that
if
came from a good place.
Imagine if you'd have made that and patented it, how wealthy that person
Well,
would be.
it sounds like the banks would want to nick it and spoil it and make you believe that it's still beautiful, and that they're going to really look after you.
I think they'll still give that a good go.
They're going to give that. I mean, here's me saying that. They're going to. This world we live in, I'd imagine that they are, and it really needs. This message needs to get out there to people. My fear is, do enough of us care?
We try, and that's what we're trying to do. So I work with a lady called Janina. I would say her surname, but I can't. But she's one of the founders of a thing called BitNation.
Right.
So all this stuff we've talked about, they've actually created a passport that's based in the blockchain. And a friend of mine, Lee Gordon Gibbs, that's not his name, but Lee, he's actually now in a refugee camp in Greece, where they're working with the refugee people look after refugees to use blockchain technology to create these passports,
right?
So that refugees have an ID that can be recognised, even though they don't have a regular passport. They give them a BitNation passport,
right?
And they're actually doing that right now.
Yeah.
Right now. So I said to people, the future is
so
here.
These things are happening.
The future's now. It's not.
Yeah, but I wouldn't know that without talking to you.
Yeah.
How are you going to get this message out there, Don? What are you doing? You want to?
Yeah, we've got barbarian thinking. I don't want to advertise. With it, my area of influence is Birmingham.
Right.
So we've got three things. We've got the West Midlands ORS, which stands for Open, Random and Supportive.
Right.
So that's a group that has no agenda. We just talk about this stuff, and that's on WhatsApp. We've got barbarian thinking, and I like to think I'm part of Nave Coins as well.
What's driving you, Don? What's driving you to want to make this difference? I mean, you're educated. I can hear you. I can hear you have a great interest in it, and you've got such a fast brain, and it's it is a joy to listen to. But what's driving you underneath all of this?
It just seems like a good idea. Art drives me. I think if you don't know the truth, I think with the fact that art isn't in schools, that people aren't finding their music, they're not finding their music. Every time I see children on computers and whatever being consumers of art instead of producers of art, I just think that's a travesty. And I've worked in, I used to be the chief executive officer of Birmingham Association of Youth Clubs, so I've worked with young people and things for a long time. But
is pain driving you though? Watching
that's
others
the
in
yeah,
the
it's the
pain.
pain, yeah.
You might not have been able to answer that question immediately because it sounds to me like you are naturally driven that way, and you might not like this term, but it's almost like one of life's natural angels. You've got it in you, and you're almost thinking, why wouldn't I be driven like that? But believe me, I know you probably know this as well. The world isn't like that. I never used to be like that. I used to be very, very ignorant, such a consumer, anything. I just wanted money. I wanted alcohol. I wanted all this stuff because I was scared of me. I've changed. I'm attracting good, honest people like you, like Wendy, like Pete, who want to make a difference in the world, because that's the bottom line.
You did. We were talking about Bitcoin on this section, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, sorry. Well, everything comes back to this.
No, I'm teasing.
But everything comes back to this wanting to do the right thing. When I first heard Bitcoin, I thought you just want to talk about money, greed. You want to get into all the negative ugliness of it, and you've totally, God bless you, totally put it across as a beautiful, good thing to strive for. I think that's the message that needs to get out there. And
there are, with all, again, there are a lot. I mean, Malcolm Pally, who's a friend of this sort of show, you interviewed Malcolm.
Yes.
So there are a lot of people on this vibe, and that's what we want to do. So we just got to get. I think the message is quite sticky as well. It's different because. Can you make a lot of money in Bitcoin? Nobody knows really. People have made money, people have lost money, and people ask the question, where's the money? And I keep saying it's not about money, it's about art, and nobody understands it.
I understand it,
But the use cases, we call them, that are coming up, that have been really successful without the money, have been the Bit Nation. There's one in Birmingham called Droplet. And I could go on, but the ones that are really working are the ones that bring people together, solve a problem, and get middlemen out of it so that people can engage.
Collectively prosper and get that abundance that you talked about. That is our birthright. But our birthright has been taken away from us because of banks, because of greed, because of the 7 deadly sins, if you like.
And the one thing I want to say is the Bitcoin. I've got to talk. I think people want to talk about the way that the Bitcoin, because nothing works for free. So the Bitcoin network, the people who run it are called miners, and they have these big computers to generate all the passwords and accounts have made.
Sure.
Those have to be generated. So today is the day, a very special day in Bitcoin, because I told you that 21 million is the limit.
Right.
So when people are making the coins, every 4 years, what they get paid to make a coin reduces until actually there's no more payment, and that's when the coins will stop being made. Right. Some people say they'll just charge for services, but they'll monetize it in other ways. But today the Bitcoin is going from 25 Bitcoins for the miners for each block they mine successfully to 12 and a half. And we don't know if that means the price is going to skyrocket or it's going to fall. So today's quite an interesting day for Bitcoin.
So when will we know that today?
When will we know that today? In 20 minutes time.
20 minutes
So in 20 minutes time, the blockchain will halve.
Yeah. This has been such an education, honest to God. And I think we're getting to that point now.
We're having a break.
We're having a bit of a break now. Well, I think we are, and that's it. I don't need to say any more, do I? We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Okay.